Let me give you the bad news and the good news. The bad news is, as you already know, we are living through a terrible, terrible pandemic. The bad news is that as a result of the pandemic, we have an economic collapse, which has cost millions and millions of people their jobs. The bad news is that we continue to have systemic racism and police brutality, which must be addressed. The bad news is that as we speak, climate change is ravaging the world and our West Coast. Millions of acres are being burned up. And on top of all of that, we have a president of the United States who is not only a pathological liar and a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and a xenophobe and you name it, who does not believe in science, but he is an authoritarian who is undermining American democracy and leading the effort to suppress the vote. That is pretty bad news. But I want to give you the good news, and it's the point that Alexandria just made. And the good news is that over the last number of years, what we have seen is an enormous growth in grassroots activism all over this country, organization after organization. Now, where we differ from establishment Democrats is they raise a whole lot of money, and that's fine. And they put most of that money into consultants and into 30-second TV ads. Now, I'm not going to knock TV ads. I've used them. I've spent millions of dollars on TV ads, and they have a place. But what we know at the end of the day, what is far more effective is grassroots organizing, is deep canvassing. It is communicating with working class people about our common humanity. It is understanding that when we knock on a door or via telephone or wherever we may do it, that almost everybody that we come in contact with, every working class, every low-income person, needs healthcare as a human right. They need the opportunity to have their kids get a decent education from childcare to graduate school, no matter what the income of their families are. They need healthcare as a human right. And more people understand that it is totally absurd that we are spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as the people of any other country, while 90 million people today are uninsured or underinsured. The function of healthcare is not to make insurance companies and drug companies billions in profit. It is to guarantee healthcare to all of our people as a human right. And the American people do understand that we have got to address the existential threat of climate change, and that we can, through a Green New Deal, create millions of good-paying jobs, transforming our energy system. And the American people do know that our political system is corrupt, and God knows that our election system, where people have to wait 5 hours to vote or may not even get their ballots counted, is corrupt, that it needs change. So the bad news is we've got a whole lot of obstacles in front of us, and we are taking on people who have enormous power and unimaginable wealth. But the good news is that in recent years, all across this country, young people and working class people and people of color have stood up for justice and understand that we cannot have a sustainable economy or nation when so few have so much and so many have so little. So we are the future. Our movement is the future. And we are growing stronger every day. We're electing great progressives, not only for Congress, but for district attorney, for prosecutors, state legislatures, all across this country. So we have got less than a week into this election. It is absolutely imperative that in the last few days, we all do everything we can to bring out the vote and to defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. Thank you all very much for what you're doing.